Hello there guys, welcome back. We're gonna start here today with the continuation of the classes, but what I want to say is now I'm gonna go through some sort of theory that it's gonna be you're gonna be able to use it for both for the people who are doing the characters and for people who are doing the assets slash weapons for the project, for the final project. I'm gonna go first through some sort of theory, things that you should know, and then at the end we're gonna go through some aspects like set remesh and dynamesh and booleans and how they all work. And then at the end, I'm gonna do like a quick exercise so you can have a look here how I apply those concepts into the actual practice here. So and then at the end, I might try to do one of the assets as well from the game Overwatch. Okay, but let's see how much time I can do in that because it can go on for hours, and obviously I cannot do that. But okay, so let's start first with the actual theory. Now, at some point so far, the people who has watched all the videos till now, they are aware of a tool set called the Z-Remesh, the Dynamesh. I always get Dynamesh and Z-Remesh mixed up. If I get it, you just have to look at it, whatever I click, and then you should be able to see. Now what I've done as well, I added as well here, excuse me, on here I had this extra keyboard, like a little app that I found called No Board, and then I have a little extra app called On Top Replica that I can use to put a keyboard here. So every time I press something like like Control or Shift or Control or Alt, then you will see what I'm actually pressing. So it will help you as well go through you're reviewing these tutorials as well. So let's start with Dynamesh and Z-Remesh and a little bit of polygroup. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open one of these projects. You can see these projects are named Dynamesh_sphere, Dynamesh_sphere. There's a little a number at the end. The number means the resolution of what this setting is, but let me go through what Dynamesh is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open probably this one, okay, and I'm just going to have this, and you can see this is just a sphere. You can start a whole project from a sphere if you want to, and you can see here if I hit polyframe, you can see that there is some sort of geometry here, but you can see that the geometry is quite, it's like even distributed the best it can based on the shape. Now if I do some sculpting to this, I'm going to cover sculpting later on when we start doing other things, but for now I just wanted to use this. For example, I'll go symmetry, I'm going to increase my brush size, okay, I'm just going to zoom out a little bit here, and I'm just going to get rid of perspective for now. So, and what I'll do is I'm going to make it bigger, and I'm going to do this. Look what happens when I do this with the geometry, and I've shown this a couple of times already. So you can see that if I push the geometry way too extreme, you can see that you're going to start seeing a lot of problems with the geometry, because there's so much you can do. I mean, you can do it here, it's fine, but you can see the distribution, the spacing that you have from these 4 points as a comparison with this is going to be quite sparse. So if I wanted to create extra detailing here later on, when we do sculpting, then I won't be able to do it because the distribution or the area of each one of these polygons is completely different from this one. So ideally, when you're doing sculpting, you should have everything as evenly distributed as possible. And by that, I mean the even distribution of the polygons, not in terms of the shape, but the polygons, okay? So in this is when Dynamesh comes in. That's something that you're gonna help you as you come along with the sculpting. But last time I did the tutorials, I told you how to combine all the geometry together, the whole body, the head, another subtool, and then the hands, another subtool. Then we run this system called the Dynamesh that allows you to make everything watertight, okay? So if you have holes as well here in the geometry, then it will close it for you automatically, and I'll show it to you in a second. So you can see if I increase this and I do it in a snake hook, you can see that there is this. The further I push, the area of each polygon will get bigger, and then that will not allow me to do any details. So if I want to do, I don't know, clay build up, and I just reduce this. Let me reduce the brush size. So if I do this, I can see that you can see I can do some fairly amount of detailing here. But if I try to do something here, you can see that the actual geometry is working against me because there's not enough topology in there to work. So Dynamesh is a system that allows you to analyze the shape of the geometry based on a resolution, and then say, well, let's put polygons everywhere you find them, and then make it all evenly distributed. The way this works, you can find this section here. As I started with a project called Dynamesh something, I think it was Dynamesh 64 or something, then it will have that feature on by default. So if you go here into geometry, and I already covered this briefly when I did the last tutorial, but I just want to go through that again. So you go here and Dynamesh, you can see that this button is on, which means that the Dynamesh has is on by default, and then this is the resolution 64. This resolution is just a number. If you think that you put resolution low enough, then you can increase it and then give it a high resolution. At the moment, this is giving us about 10,000 polygons, this shape. But now it's on by default. So this one is off. I will not be able to use it. But if I have this, I'll have it on. You can see. But let's go by the way it was, because there is not just a way of just on and off to just trigger it. There is a little command to trigger it. So if we know the command to trigger is using the control, but you know already that control, every time you had control, you have an actual mask, and you have played with this before. Okay, so you got this, you go clear the mask. Okay, so you do that. So when you have a mask, for example, and you clear it once, you clear the mask. But if you do again, you see it triggered the system. So now you can see that all this has evenly distributed polygons. So now when I sculpt, you can see I have more detail to work on. Okay, and again, if I do that and I click control again, it will trigger it every time. It doesn't have to be the mask on to work every time. So if I do, I don't know, this is too much. If I do this, you can see I did something quite extreme. If I press control, click and drag, it says, hey, now giving me everything distributed, and then I can continue working. You can see, so I can build a whole character or anything like this. Just need to clay, you know. So let's go back to here, probably, yeah. Go to the beginning here. Okay. So now this resolution tells you how far you can take it. So for example, if I do this, and you have to be careful because these jagged things will be part of the actual design if you just leave it there. So you can just probably smooth them out a little bit and then apply this. So when I hit the the Dynamesh, then you can see that the distribution of the polygons are done straight away. Okay. So if you think that you're not having enough topology, all you can do is just increase this a little bit. Okay, you increase this, then you can see that before, let me undo before how much it gave us. So press control here, it gave us 11,000. So if I increase this, and then I'll do that, then it gives us 101,000. So it has quite a bit tricky with this because it can go really high. And as well, if the geometry you originally did the sculpting is quite bulky, then you will see those artifacts in there. So you have to be careful, okay? So it's just smoothing things out here. Okay, so the other thing as well is once you do that, for example, if I undo this, does it work? Okay. Doesn't do undo for some reason, okay. Oh, it doesn't do it because I had to go and do that, okay. So if I do this, and then I press Control, click and drag, and then I do the masking, then if I want to smooth this out in post, I can do it with this button. So you can increase this, you can see it, you see it's like a post-processing effect. You can increase that and you can smooth things out. But you can always do as well with a, this is because you got the masking. I don't know why that happens sometimes. Let's see. Okay, for some reason didn't like it, so let me undo that, press Control, and smooth that. Okay. So you can see that that's how you use it, okay? And it works with polygroups. So I'm just going to go back again to the beginning. And if I have, you remember when we can create a polygroup by just, let me see if I can show you if you can see how you can split things out. For example, if I have Control, and I press Control Shift, and then I hide this. Oh, let's do it. So let's do this. Control. I'm going to just do this, okay? And then I'm going to tell them, I got everything hidden, so just to demonstrate how can you close a hole there. You can take this and then go into polygroups, telling group visible. You see, you give me another color. So when I press Control Shift, I have two groups now. So if I press Control Shift and click on this one, okay, I got a group there. If you want to see the inside part, all you have to do is let me check the recording. All you have to do is just click this button here, display properties, and then you click this button and it says double, so you can see the inside. It's just a optimization thing in the viewport. It's nothing to do. It's just not, you don't bring those polygons back. They're still there. It's just it's more optimized for the graphic card to not see what it is facing out. So it's called backface culling in Maya, I think it is. Okay, so I have this. I can tell them, hey, I can either delete what is hidden or I can split it. So you go here into subtool. If you're going to split it, you go here into split. You say split hidden. And then we'll create an extra subtool with the other stuff that is hidden, the other section. So you go here, split hidden. If you want to delete, you just go into geometry, modify topology, and you set delete hidden. So whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to split it. Okay, I'm just going to go here, split hidden. You can see now that I have one here and another one there. And whatever I have selected, because I have this button on, it will show me the polygroup. But if I do this and hide the other one, I'm going to be working on the top one. And it says, well, I got Dynamesh on, Dynamesh on, yeah. Let me double check. Dynamesh is on. So if I press Control, click and drag, look what happened. It did the server mesh, okay. But in this case, because something was open, it closed it for you automatically, okay. And so you can make everything watertight, and that's how we did it with the character the last time. So if you have something that is open, it will close it for you. And if you want to make this line sharper, then there are other ways that we're going to go through in a minute how to do that. Another thing you can do to close a hole, if modify topology, you hit this button, close hole, and it close the hole, and it gives you normally something that is a little bit cleaner. And then if you press Control, click and drag, then it will zero mesh the whole thing again. And if you think there's no enough, okay, I think it's old, yeah. If you think there is not enough geometry, you can just always go back here to the geometry, go back to Dynamesh, and then increase the resolution. Then press Control, click and drag, and it will give you, see, high resolution, see 161,000. Okay, and if you want to make the line sharper, you know how to do it with clip and brush. We're going to go through that more in a minute, but for now, this is what I want you to have a look for now. So you can make things watertight. You can close a hole by going to the modify topology. There are several ways of doing it. Okay, I'm showing you this because this is going to be quite crucial for the next tutorials at the end, because it's just a theory. Okay, so we do this. Okay, so that's fine. So that you know that is the server mesh part, the Dynamesh. Sorry, server mesh is slightly different because server mesh is actually give you cleaner topology. I'm just going to demonstrate here quickly, but you don't have to go in depth with this because we're going to be covering this more in depth later on. But for now, what I'm going to do is, if you want to get out from the Dynamesh section, you just go here in Dynamesh, you check the button, and now every time you press Control, it only will clear a mask. It will not server mesh anything because that button is off, or Dynamesh in this case. So server mesh, what it does is it analyzes the geometry and it gives you something a bit more cleaner, something that goes with the actual shape and the flow, how things are arranged in the viewport. It does a pretty good job. It's like an automatic retopologizing tool. I use it quite profusely. I use it in normally when I'm doing characters and I'm doing things like bodies and arms and legs. I just quickly do that. It saves me a ton of work instead of just doing it from Maya indirectly. But you don't know at the moment what retopologizing really is, so don't worry. We're going to be covering that for you in the next couple of years. So that's going to be something you're going to be working on all the time. So okay, so server mesh. If you want to trigger it, is pretty much a because you got two poly groups, you can tell them to keep the groups. You can click this, and this is the one of the things that you need to keep an eye. And this is like the target and polygon count. This is in the thousands, so this is 5,000 polygon. So if I hit, I don't know, 10, you don't have to be specific because it will try to hit that target the best it can. Not necessarily will hit it to this exact amount, but it will try to be as close as possible. And then you hit this button, and then you click the button server mesh. Okay. And it goes through this, and then it will start analyzing. You can see the geometry is way cleaner than the one we had before. You see before it has a sort of pinching here. This one is cleaner. So if you want to do, say, well, 10 is too much, then I'm just going to undo this. I'm going to decrease this and put in 4 or 5, and then zero measure. You can see all these pinchings and things in here that you can see they're completely unnecessary. With the Z remesher, it will give you something that is, you see, is cleaner. And if you want, once you have this, you say, well, I'm happy with this. I'm gonna tell you later on how to clean these edges as well. We're gonna go through that later on in a minute, later on. So don't worry about it for now. So if you wanna have this much better, then what you can do is you can tell them, hey, by clicking this button, you see how this grays out. So whatever you're gonna do, whatever you have in the viewport, it will give me half of that, the best it can. So you hit Z remesh, and you see now it gave me half. See, 4,000. You hit again, I give you half of this. You can keep going. Okay, you can see they give you some pretty decent and actually quite clean in the edges, pretty quickly. Okay, so so yeah, this is the tool that for automatic retopologizing. So you can use it at this stage. I don't mind if you use it. It would be good if you have something clean and you can start subdividing. But something you can do later. We're gonna do that stage later on. But for now, I want you to stick just to Z remesh, clipping and things like that. But for this, don't worry about it for now. I just wanted to let you know that is the tool that you use to do automatic retopologizing. Okay, so So you do that, okay? Now, let's open another project so I can go through another aspects in here. So I'm gonna go and open again 64. I'm just gonna do the big one on top. This one is, I don't know which one. This is another, this is 32, this is too small, so that will be Dynawax, Dynamesh 60, oh, this is Dynawax. This is just the name that they just use, so that's a word. So it's always okay, I just wanted to, let me double click on this one. Yeah, this is higher, this is 128, you can see, this is a high resolution. But anyway, it doesn't matter because we're just gonna go through a few other things in a second. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna show you is a slice curve. Remember when I told you at the beginning that if you press Control Shift, you have a new set of mode here. You can do Control Shift, you can do selection by default. You can only have selection square or selection lasso. And then if you keep going, you can do the clipping brushes, you can do the slide brushes, and you can do the trim brushes. Okay, so I'm gonna go first with the clipping brushes. So you click here and you say clip curve, and if you clip here, okay, and I've shown this before, seems like okay, you cut the geometry in a very nice shape, but truly what it's done, it's just taking all the geometry that these lines draw. Okay, you see the dark bit. The dark bit means that whatever is towards the dark bit is going to be squashed towards that hash line. So you do that, and you get this. Okay, you're not truly cutting geometry. You're actually just taking the geometry and then flattening it and then put it all the way there to that position again. Look. Okay. Now, there is a tricky thing with it because this one works okay. If you do that, you can see the geometry is nice, everything is clean. But look what happened when I start clipping below this line here. Okay, it seems like it's okay, but look at this. It creates this little lip in there. That's because the width of the sphere in that case was wider towards whatever it's going to be squished to. So that's why you got that overhang in there. Because as you can see, this section here is all the way there. It's pretty much taking all these polygons in there, squishing it, so they're going to be squishing in a single line. So you can see that this line is going to squish all the way to the end. So if you do that, let me do the clipping again. You can see. So you do that and get rid of perspective. And by the way, when you do perspective, guy, trying to get rid of the perspective. Look what happened when I clipped it with perspective. It gave me something wrong. Perspective influenced the way you clip things. For example, like let's undo that again. So you see that one looks good because it's clipping. But if let's do it back in there. So if I clip with the perspective here, this is what happened. It looks good, but when you get rid of perspective, you see there was something wonky in there. It's not 100% flat towards the camera. So when you clip, get rid of the perspective. It's very important. Now, if you clip without the perspective and something straight like this, you can see, but then when you move, you see it's still there. Look, it's nice and flat, no matter what angle we put it. Okay? So that's one tip there, guys. Get rid of the perspective temporarily while you're doing clipping, otherwise you're gonna get wonky shapes. You would clip from that actually is pretty much what I'm saying. It's camera based, camera dependent, whatever the camera is. So if you put perspective, you will have distortion in the camera. Again, so that's pretty much straightforward with in terms of the clipping. So you do this, and if you click hold, Control Shift, don't let go of the pen. When you appear the M1 here in the keyboard, it means that just the mouse one, the click one, the left one, which is I'm actually just clicking on the tab with the pen on top of the screen. So if I press Alt once, give me this nice curve. Okay. If I press Alt twice, it gives me this sharp line. Okay. So you can see you can create some very interesting shapes. Okay. So and that is the actual clipping brush. It's like pretty much the clipping brush. It's just it's not fancy in terms of the things you can do because it's not biggie. So again, Control Shift, press Alt once, Alt again once, and you get this nice curve. And you can create these clips like that. Okay. I advise you to play around with the rest. There are several. You got the clip curve, the clip circle, clip circle center, clip rectangular. Just do that. Okay. Just go on your own time. Okay, so now the next ones are the what about the crease? I don't think we're gonna need a crease now, but we're gonna need I wanna look at the slice curve. So what does slice curve does? I'm going to press Control Shift and I'm going to select slice curve. See? So when I draw it, okay, this is what happened. I actually slice the geometry, okay? But now it just pretty much is still a single subtool. There's nothing has happened. All I've done is just clipping things out. Look. And what it does, every time it finds something that overlaps, it creates a new polygroup. And you can go on forever there, you can see. Yeah. So this is useful because when you do a mechanical thing, you can actually split the geometry in a very nice shape. For example, you press Control Shift, and you slice. Let's zoom in and have a look at the edge. You can see that the edge is perfect. You can see it's not. If I were to have a polygroup based on the polygon, you can see that this stuff is going to be quite. So it's going to give me like a jaggedy edge. So we don't want that. Okay. So with this, what it does when I do the split, when I press Control Shift and selection and click, you can see that now I have a very nice clean edge. I go into display property, hit double, you can see that everything is nice and straight because it creates an extra line of geometry that is perfectly aligned with that line that we just drew. Okay, and this one is useful to create things like stuff that is quite mechanical. So if you have this, we can fill this, but we have to split it first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to split it, going polygon, split hidden. So I created two subtools. You can see I can take this guy, I'm going to hide the other one. Then I'm going to go into geometry, and now with the tool that I told you earlier in the modified topology, you can close that hole. You can see now that you got something there. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to close the hole, okay, and you can see here that everything is nice and straight, okay. There you go. So you see that's something that you can, and you can take the other one and do the same, and then you can have like two insets, like mechanical inset cuts. So if I take, I don't know, if I take this one, and then I can just make it nice and smooth there. So so this is pretty much the slicing curve. So again, you can just, I'm gonna ignore the other one for now. We're just gonna come here, and the same rule applies in terms of Control Shift, and if you press Alt, then you get a curve. You press Alt twice, then you get a straight line. You can get some really interesting cuts, you see. So it is always something you can work on. Okay. Now that is the slice, and then again you can just press Control Shift and you can click on this one. You can see, and then you press Control Shift. It will be in this mode, and you can click and drag. And you can have the other one there. You can click close hole, but this is going to be something we're going to cover later, because close hole here. If I apply close hole here, I have to split them first. So I'm going to go here, subtool, split hidden, and now with this one selected, which is this one, I'm going to hide the other one. And if I go here into geometry and I close holes, look what happened. This is what happened. So pretty much this is not what we want. We want sort of something to be like exactly the same shape of the other one, the negative, which is this one. See, but there is an overlap there because ZBrush doesn't understand that you are actually trying to create that cool shape. So, but there is a way to overcome this. So I'm going to show you a method. There are many ways to get rid of that, but I'm going to show you a method, probably one of the easiest to understand. So you stick to those, and then again, like I told you at the beginning of the class, the semester, stick to what I tell you guys, and then later on you will have plenty of opportunity to experiment. But for now, let's stick to this for now, because this is straight to the point without hesitating. You need your time is quite limited at the moment. Okay, so we're gonna go through that in a second, and then other things that we're gonna cover. Okay, but for now, I'm gonna check how long is it gonna be. Okay, we are over just 24 minutes, so I'm gonna wrap this up with the other section, which is the trim curve. So I'm gonna go into Lightbox, and I'm gonna open the project again, which I believe is this one. No, it's not that one, but it doesn't matter. I can just, it's me trying to be, yeah, that's the one. The top one is the 128. Okay, so slice curve. Okay, trim curve. Okay, trim curve, what it does is slightly different. I forgot to mention the slice curve. Look, it has symmetry. Slice curve doesn't work with symmetry, unfortunately. If you want to create the symmetry, again, I forgot to mention. You see how, because I forgot to undo the perspective, it gave me this wonky selection. So if I do this, Okay, you can see that even though I have symmetry, you can see the little dot on the other side. It will not work, and the reason it doesn't work is because these tools don't work with symmetry. So if you want to make this symmetrical, what you have to do is hack in away by doing this. So if you go into this section, just go into geometry, and I've shown it before, you hit the button mirror and well. When you hit this button, you specify here what axis you want to mirror. You want to mirror in the x-axis. That's fine because this is the x-axis. You can see the red one, the red bar there. So just remember, if you want to mirror the stuff that is working this way, you have to put the changes on the positive side. Whatever the bar is, this is the positive x, this is the positive z. The one inside there is towards the top is a positive y, negative x, and negative z. Okay, so whatever changes you do, you have to put them in the positive x so you can mirror to the other side. So you hit this button, you can see that I have that in there. Again, if you, for any chance, you did it on the other one, you forgot, you can still save it. And I'm going to show you how to. Right, you can still save that. Let me undo this. Okay, if you do the changes here, okay, this is the negative x, and then if you hit mirror and well, you pretty much lose it because you put the good stuff into here. You don't want it like that. So you want to take this, let's say you forget, you can still recover it. All you had to do is go into the deformation section, and here you got a button as well that says mirror. I don't know, it's a bit tricky, mirror, but I think it should be flipped than the name. So you click here, you can see you flipped it to the other side. So now the changes you did are in the actual positive x, and then you go into geometry, and then you hit mirror and well, and now you get back to the way it was. Okay. And again, once you have this polygroup, you press Control Shift, you click here, you get the polygroups. Okay, you can split them, you can do more stuff in there. Okay, but for now, again, this is how you, and you can do the same for the other one, for the slice. The light doesn't have as well, but this one actually creates. Sorry, this is a slide where I'm working at the moment. So that's how you mirror. So if we move on to the actual other section, which is not the slice but the trim. The trim exactly the same. But this time, it actually, so if you do it here into the positive, that's what we want. You can do this, and if you do that, it trims it, okay? Similar to the clip, but actually takes the geometry out, delete it, and then fill the hole, pretty much, okay? And again, it works with mirror and well, you can see, you got it there, okay? So this is pretty self-explanatory. You can work with this as it is, it's perfect, okay? It shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so we cover mirror and well. We cover the clipping mode, the clipping brushes, the slice brushes, the trim brushes, how to split the subtools, how to mirror and well, and I think that's we're gonna leave that for now. And then I'm going to cover other aspects, another video that's gonna cover a few other things like group loops, panel loops, and things like that. And then finally, I'm gonna show you one with a booleans. Okay. And then we're going to do the actual exercise. So let's see if I do the boolean before or after the exercise. Let's see how it goes. Okay. But for now, I'm going to stop it right here because this thing is nearly half an hour. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. All right. Bye-bye.